Manchester.
Particularly after the show, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. It sounds crazy to say it, but I've got a whole different sort of demographic, nationwide. Whereas before I had a lot of fans down south, now it's all over the country, and we're getting requests from all over. So we thought, okay, Manchester's pretty central. It's a pretty central, and we've got a great relationship with the Manchester Arena.
Oscar Pistorius' agent has been quoted as saying the World Athletics Championships are a possibility for the sprinter after a judge changed his bail conditions, with Pistorius awaiting trial for killing his girlfriend, allowing him to compete abroad. Van Zyl says based on the judge's decision, and if he's up for it and qualifies, the World Championships will definitely be on the radar. The IPC management team will sit down to discuss the matter following the Easter break. The IAAF have told us he can compete at the Worlds on the basis of innocent until proven guilty. Plans for a £45 million development at Cheltenham Racecourse to create what's being described as an iconic new world-class grandstand have been revealed today by its owner, the Jockey Club. It's hoped the project will start this time next year and take 22 months, causing what officials describe as minor disruption to racing, but no fixtures will be moved. Simon Bazalgette is Group Chief Executive of the Jockey Club.
We've invested over 150 million in our racecourses, including at Cheltenham, over the last 10 years. It's part of what we do, is reinvest all our profits back in the sport through facilities and prize money. I think it will be an iconic grandstand which matches our ambitions to be seen as one of the world's great sport venues. Most importantly, it will create a bigger amphitheatre around the paddock so that the horse will be at the centre of everything that we do.
And national champions Max Whitlock and Gabby Jupp will lead the GB squads at next month's European Gymnastics Championships in Moscow.
I'm not surprised Paul Sturrock doesn't want to lead out the team. You've just been sacked. And they say, oh, by the way, you can lead them out.
Yeah, it's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Sacked from the programme, but you can come back and do the news if you want. It is 4:37. There's a new boss in charge of... Can we call them the Spooks at MI5? I suppose we can, can't we? That's the term everyone understands. Yeah. The new Director General of MI5 is Andrew Parker, who's currently the Deputy Director General of the Security Service MI5. Richard Norton-Taylor writes for The Guardian on defence and security. So what can you tell us about Andrew Parker, Richard?
Well, the main thing one knows about him is that he's a great twitcher, he's a bird watcher, and all his jokes about surveillance and so on, his office is full of pictures of birds, and he's a keen bird watcher. That's what we know about him. And the other significant fact, I suppose, is that he's a career MI5 person. He's 50 years old and has been in MI5 for 30 years.
Will his leadership differ from the former Director General, Sir Jonathan Evans?
I think they're very similar characters, actually. Jonathan Evans was also a career man, left very soon after, rather joined MI5 very soon after university. He's got new threats to face. The Home Office put out a new counter-terrorism document just earlier this week, talking about the new diverse threats facing Britain's national security. Cyber, in particular, is a new threat, which Jonathan Evans, Parker's the man who's just about to retire, was emphasising in recent speeches. So Parker will have to deal with that. Also, another thing I should say very quickly, really, is that he's got a problem with MI5 is still under the pall, really, under the shadow of allegations, indeed some evidence of evidence of involvement in the torture and abuse of terror suspects. MI6 is too, actually, but. Anyway,
Richard, how usual is it? Because in companies, it's not very common to promote the deputy. You often try and get a chief executive in from elsewhere, and that's true in many organisations. Well, is it different in MI5 because it's all about trust?
Well, it is quite different, and whenever, and it hasn't happened very often, whenever MI5 or MI6 have appointed someone, or the government have appointed someone from outside those services, those agencies, there's been a tremendous sort of hostile reaction within. It's an assumption that if you're a bit like if you're appointing someone to head the army, the guy's got to be a soldier rather than a sailor. It's that kind of thing. When John Soares, for example, was ambassador in the Foreign Office, was appointed head of MI6, the Foreign Intelligence Service, a couple of years ago, there was a lot of anguish and resentment inside MI6. In MI5, there probably would have been as well. There hadn't been an outsider appointed to that job since, or just for decades, actually, almost Second World War time, just after the war. Ever since, it's been a career MI5. They feel safe with these people. Interestingly enough, though, there's been two sort of very extrovert people who've been heads of MI5, the security service, in the last few years, and they've both been women. One is Stella Rimington, who now writes spy books, novels, and the other is Manning and Buller, Dame Eliza Manningham Buller, who's now in the House of Lords. Very extrovert people. Jonathan Evans, the man who's about to retire, is quite a introvert person, I think, and Andrew Parker, maybe not quite so much, but a similar breed, I think.
Wonderful. Richard, thank you very much. Richard Norton-Taylor, who writes for The Guardian on defence and security. What would you call a spy novel? A sort of spook book?
Spook book.
I suppose you'd call it something like that.
A good one. We've got a new type of pope, haven't we? Because Pope Francis is washing the feet of prisoners in a youth detention centre near Rome today. The Pope's been praised for his humble approach to the job. He's already decided to live in a small suite rather than those huge papal apartments and eat with other priests in a common dining room rather than using the much larger apartments of his predecessors. Let's speak to Father Mark Harold, the Vice-Rector of the English College in Rome, about the Pope's first 2 weeks. Father Mark, washing the feet is something that many popes have done. Why is it significant? Why do they do it?
Hi, Dominic. Yeah, it's today is Maundy Thursday, and we commemorate the Last Supper of our Lord, and it's commemorating what Jesus did to his disciples at the Last Supper when he got down and washed the feet of the 12 disciples. And it's something that in every Maundy Thursday in every Catholic church around the world, every parish priest, every bishop in his cathedral this evening will be doing exactly that. They will be kneeling down and washing the feet of people that they serve. And it's an act of service, imitating that service shown by Christ.
I was in St. Peter's Square a couple of weeks ago when he was elected, and almost from the word go, when he came out onto the balcony, his choice of language was it was normal Italian, it was colloquial, the sort of thing you might say to your friends. Has he carried on that trend since those moments a couple of weeks ago?
It seems each day there's been new excitement in what the Pope is saying and what he's doing by his action and his gestures. Here in Rome, it's a very exciting time to be here. We've witnessed so many things and so many words of genuine humility. As you say, that first evening when he bowed his head and asked for the prayers of all the people for him, I think there was a profound sense of the outpouring of the Spirit, and that here was someone very humble, but very active in faith and very wanting to come back to some of the basics of what faith is. Have your young seminarians been talking about him the last couple of weeks? I know you've seen a rise in people coming to Rome to train with you. What have they been saying? We have over the last few years. I mean, the numbers of people training for the priesthood isn't as large as it was in previous years, but there's been a rise, say, in the last 5 years or so, that we have a slightly more young people offering themselves for the priesthood. And amongst them, again, there's great interest in the language he's using, in the actions he's showing. And really what he's doing that for is to be someone who presents to other people who are going to be leaders in the church, other priests, other young men, other lay people, men and women, children, the example of showing kindness, of being gentle, of being humble. And he's already in these 2 weeks provided such witness for that. Father Mark Harold, thank you very much. Vice-Rector of the English College in Rome. Ian, I saw a great quote that he said in the last couple of days. If you want to be like a shepherd, you have to smell like a sheep.
OK, I'll think about that one. It's coming up to 5:15. The jury at an inquest into the deaths of 6 people killed in a tower block fire in Camberwell in south-east London in 2009 have found that numerous opportunities were missed to carry out fire safety checks inside the building. Our reporter Jonathan Baker is following this story for us. Just tell us a little bit more about that fire, Jonathan.
Well, this happened in July 2009, a place called Lakanal House, which is a 14-storey tower block in Camberwell, South London. And it was caused by an electrical fault in a flat on the 9th floor. It spread very rapidly, and eventually 6 people were killed, a young mother and her 2 small children, and another young mother sheltering with her with a 3-week-old baby, and a 31-year-old fashion designer called Catherine Hickman. And they all died from inhalation of fire fumes. The inquest began in January of this year, and it's what's called a super inquest, led by a judge, Frances Kirkham, sitting with a jury. And she sent this jury out last week, telling them to come back with what's called a narrative verdict, so to look at some of the issues that have emerged during the case and draw some conclusions about what went wrong and how it might be put right in the future.
And what did the jury come back with, Jonathan?
Well, the jury said that there was confusion about the layout of the building and the flat numbers, how it was set out, and that prevented firefighters from getting, certainly to Miss Hickman, quickly enough. And they said that she